This is the sound I've made to work on today. So this kind of horror ambient sound has a lot of variation in it from all the LFOs, and sometimes this can create really distinctive moments, which is really good because they sound cool, but if we made just a single loop, players might start to notice how that distinctive element keeps turning up periodically. So what we're going to do is, instead of creating one big long loop, we're going to create a bunch of smaller loops that we can then shuffle the order of inside of our middleware software or inside of the game engine itself. So first step is just to bounce it out so that we actually have audio to work with. And then we're just going to create a short loop in the way that we're used to making for games. So we're just going to select a little short section here and make our first loop. So what makes something loop seamlessly is that the beginning and the end perfectly connect, right? So the easiest way to achieve that is to just cut at a zero crossing somewhere in the middle. And we know that this section will perfectly lead into this section. So if we just swap the order around and create a seamless crossfade, we know that this will loop perfectly. So let's just listen to the crossfade and make sure it works. So since that crossfade is seamless, we know that this will create a perfect loop. So that's our first loop done, but that's nothing special. That's just how you'd normally do it. What we're going to do is we're going to copy that, and this is what we're going to create our second variation from. Now, what makes a loop work, as I mentioned just before, is that the beginning and the ends are the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the end and the beginning and delete the middle. And so as long as we make sure that this is the part at the beginning and this is the part at the end, then as long as we stick something in the middle that's different, we can create a new variation while still retaining the looping. So I'm going to go like this, and I've cut a new middle out here. I'm going to drag it up. Now you see we've got the same clip at the start and at the end, so we know it will loop perfectly. But since we have new content in the middle, this loop will overall sound different. And I'm going to make a copy of that here. And now I'm just going to change what that middle content is again. And now we've created a third variation. Now, you might be noticing something that could make these loops fail, which is that the beginning and the end, what if the player notices that that same little bit is reoccurring? To reduce the chances of this, we can make sure that our fades go all the way to the end like this. By doing that, we only really have the same bit at that exact instant where the loop happens. And during all this section here where we're having the crossfading, it won't sound the same every time because we're still blending in our middle material, which is new. So we just go like that. And there we go, we've made 3 loops, and we can make as many as we want. What's important to note as well is that you can change the length of this middle section to be whatever you want. So not all these loops have to be the same length. What we could do is we could create one where this middle section is much shorter just by going like that. There you go. Or we could make one where it was much longer. This would be pretty easy to do. And as long as these fades sound seamless, then all of these different loops will all seamlessly connect to each other. So I've just very quickly made these 4. I'm going to bounce them out and then we'll jump into Fmod and you'll hear that they all seamlessly connect together.